the training. So as I mentioned last week, that we'll be talking about the business process modeling. And so I know we've discussed on the stakeholder identification, the investigation, which we discussed also last week on workshop, and we've discussed on the interviewing as well. And during the process of gathering your requirements, so probably maybe you must have definitely gather your requirements, do the analysis, and you've identified the gaps. And yeah, so although we are not documenting the business requirements at the moment, but we can start to talk about the process map. So because it's possible, probably maybe during the workshop, you've mapped some of the processes with the stakeholders or the attendees. So yeah, so we'll just focus on the business process modeling today. Business process modeling, we have several process modeling, and I think I mentioned that we'll be using Visio to actually do some of the modeling. And so we'll be using Visio, Microsoft Visio, the application to model your process and your requirements. So what do we understand by context diagram? So we have what we call context diagram, and I'm sure everyone is familiar with flowchart diagram and cross-functional flow diagram as well. And we are going to talk about the BPMN. And I know I gave you the acronyms, I think probably maybe 3 weeks, the first lecture. So the BPMN is the Business Process Modeling Notation Symbols. So which is something that you may be using. Yeah, so it depends on the process modeling that you actually want to carry out. So on the business process, we discussed last week that you can use this business process to actually understand the series of actions or steps or procedure that they're actually carrying out within that process or within the organization. And it's also possible for you to be able to use that to identify the weakness or the pain points or what the stakeholder or maybe what they're trying to achieve as well. So you can use the business process to capture, to understand the current state of what they are doing, and also the future state, which is the to be process, how they want the process to work. So you can also use the business process to understand that as well. So it's a way of having a visual representation of how the process works, and also trying to use that to identify what is needed or the problem area or where they actually need to look into. So so you can use the business process to actually improve an existing process, and it may be something that they don't even have any process in place. You just want to start from scratch. You want to build a new process for them, or it could be probably maybe something that they just want to try and have to have a new process in place. So it helps you to understand the activities and how the organization works, or how the processes or the operation within the organization, how it works. And so so we can move on to the next. So we move on to the context diagram. So the context diagram, we call this is sort of like is a diagram, is a high-level diagram. So it's like a framework of the interaction between the organization and any external entities. So the diagram we show, for example, here. So I just put like this is just an example. So assuming that we have a tax system, so in the context diagram, it's usually just a simple diagram. So you have a circle, so which is actually represents your process or a system, and the rectangle boxes actually represent the entities, and the flow, the arrows actually represent the the data flow or inflow and outflow. So here, so when we are talking about the context diagram here, so now we are saying about tax system. If we are all familiar with the tax system within in UK, so let's say we have this tax system, we want to work on the tax system, and you want to understand, you want to draw a context diagram of how it works at the moment. So if you want to draw a context diagram, because you need to know what are the things, the parties involved, the entities, how what are the interaction with this tax system. So the tax system, like I said, it's a circle, we represent the system or the process. And now we have all these ones. Employee is an entity which relates to interact with the tax system. So let's say this is the tax staff. Let's say this revenue is called, the tax organization is called RC. So we are saying this RC, they also interact with the system. And you have the employer, which is probably like the employer that employs you. They also interact with the system as well, and also the accountants. So let's say they interact. So, and the only reason why, because when you look at it, and if you want to draw a concept, if you want to work on a tax system, so now you need to identify all the interaction, all the entities that actually relate with the system. So now I've identified the employee. What does the employee do? So that means you feed in information to the tax man, to the tax organization. You feed in information to them. So that means you give them information. So probably saying, oh, I'm working at this place, although it's not every time that you have to tell them, but let's assume that you're actually feeding in information. So that's why the arrow is actually going in. And also the RC staff. So I've actually use the arrow to represent that the RC staff interact with the system, whereby they actually get information from the system, and they also input information into the system. So it could be, so probably maybe you've called the RC organization, the tax organization, and they're asking you about maybe some information. So the RC may try to put in your NI number into the system, so interacting with this. So that means it's showing how the RC, the staff actually interact with the system. And also the tax system give them information as well, probably maybe produce outputs, or maybe generate some of your, maybe your self-assessment or your tax code, probably maybe give. So this actually shows the the inflow and outflow. So that means they get information, they also put in information. So likewise the accountants, like most people that use accountants, so the accountants also interact with the system. So probably maybe by submitting your maybe by submitting your tax return, from the accountant. So is a way you can actually represent, so you have to then write the, the data that you actually feed in them. I know the self-assessment, you have to submit the self-assessment. So this is supposed to be the other way around. So, but just let's assume that the tax actually give you like maybe your tax code or something. So I'm just using it as an example. So you can get information in, and you can, and putting information into the system. So it just shows the relationship, and likewise the employee as well. So the tax generates tax code, to the employer, saying, oh, employer A is actually, this is the tax code for the employer A. So that means the tax system generates, the tax code. And it's possible, because the employer actually, most of them actually, let me say all of them, actually have access. So they have access to, the tax system. So they can input in your name and say, we have a new staff, new starter, and they submit all necessary information. So by submitting all the necessary information, then the system will say, oh, this person have worked, this is the first time this person is working this year, or this is the second job for this person. Then the tax system will be able to generate the tax code. So basically, so it's just to show you, when you are putting your context diagram together, it's just eye level. So we just want to know who are the people that actually interact with the system. And then what type of data do they actually get from the system? So just on a high level, so you don't have to go into detail. So it's just to show the entities and the system or the process. So this could be a process, but excuse me, just to show the entity, whether external, whether internal. From what you can see here, we have internal, which are the staff, and we have external, the accountant, the employer. They're external to the tax organization. So it's a way of showing the internal and external relationship with the system. So it's not necessarily has to be just within the organization. So that's context diagram. So it's actually show, each area and entity. So we call it level 0. We call this level 0. And so we'll move on to the next one. So most times in some projects, so they may ask you to put a context diagram together. So you just need to understand this is how you do it. So it now depends on the project that you can now explore. So yeah, so that's context diagram here. Okay, yeah. So we'll move on to the cross-functional flow diagram. So with this as well, this is just a sample. I just put sort of like a screenshot, of this is what how the cross-functional, how it looks. So you have what we call swim lanes. We call it pools as well. It's like a swimming pool. So you have pool, different lanes. So that's why we call swim lane. So each of these is a lane. So each of this is a lane or pool. And so in your cross-functional is used to actually show the the process or the activities between different departments or different entities. It could be different organizations. It could be external, internal. It could be within the same organization but different departments. So that's why you have different functions. So each of these is a function. This, like on the screen here, you can see we have 3 functions from what I've put in here. So you have 3 functions. So that means it could be 3 departments. It could be 3 different organizations. So your cross-functional, you call it, so most times they call it swim lane. Once you just hear swim lane, this is what we are talking about. Because most people will not say cross-functional. They will just say, oh, have you done that swim lane? Or can you map your process in swim lane? Or do you know how to use swim lane? Or what are you using for your process modeling? Then you can say, oh, I'm using swim lane diagram, to map the process. So this is what we call swim lane. So you should be familiar with that. So, and in your swim lane, you have like start and you have end as well, which I'm still going to go into detail later. So you have start and end. And so here, like now, like in a swimming pool, the swimming pool is everything here, everything, your pool. Then in a pool, that's when you now have different lanes. So you have different lanes, but everything is called a pool. So now, if I'm talking about a pool, must have, a start and end. So your pool must have a start and end, and you have different lanes. And you can also use circle or terminator, but that will be, I will share that under the BPMN. And so your rectangles are processes, like actions or tasks. And like the diamond is a decision, we can say gateway, but we call it like a decision when you have to make a decision. So we have several symbols, but this is what we call swim lane. So because you will be using this for maybe your projects, depending. So, and I will move on to the next one. So this is the flow chart, which I know almost everyone will be familiar with this. The flow chart is different from the cross-functional because the cross-functional, which is swim lane, it actually involves, several more than one department or function. So, but this, there's nothing you can't even, so you cannot even differentiate whether it's somebody that is carrying out this task or another person. So this is actually, you cannot differentiate between the tags. So it could be, like I said, the flowchart has the same start and end, but it's just that it's only one. So there's no differentiation. It's just a flow of activities as well. So you can, it's possible that you can use one lane, in the swim lane, you can use that one lane and expand it into flowchart. It's possible to do that. So like if we use this one lane alone, we can actually probably maybe drill it down to flowchart. But most times when you have a process that actually involves more than multiple functions, definitely you can use flowcharts. So you will know that, is a swim lane that I have to use. So you need to be able to actually determine that what you have to use. And so like this one, it has no interaction with other functions area. So it's just one actor. So we just say, when I say actor, I mean just one person or a system that is actually doing the tasks. So that's just high level, but it's something that probably maybe one can read through that as well. And yes, so we'll move on to yes, okay. So the business process modeling notation is also different. So it's also different from, but before I move into that, because I think I would prefer to actually maybe do that at the end, or probably maybe let me just try and let me discuss this next one. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So we'll move on to the unify, because the reason why I skipped that, I'm still going to talk about the business process. So this business process modeling notation is you can still use that in swim lane, but the way is different. The shapes, the symbols are different from the cross-functional. So which I'm going to show you in Visio maybe in another few minutes. So, but the business process is, so sometimes some job adverts, they may say, oh, actually, the person must be experienced or you must be familiar with BPMN. So this is what they mean, BPMN notation, because the symbols are different from the flow chart. It's different from these ones. It's different. So you have like the start. If you notice there, the start, this one is sort of like over, let me just say over shape, but in BPMN it's more like a small circle, so which I'm going to show you later. So you just need to be familiar with that. So, but we'll go into detail later. So the business process modeling, like I mentioned here earlier, so the context diagram is actually called level 0. And the high-level business process, when you are documenting, we will try and use a scenario to actually, map a process of high level. So the high-level business process, when you are mapping your high level, it's possible to just do something like high level. You don't want to really go into detail, but it's also different from context diagram. Once you just have that knowledge, the context diagram is level 0. It shows the relationship between the system and, or like maybe the interaction with people as well. Then you can say the high level is more detailed again than the context diagram. So that's why we call it level 1. Then you have another level. It's possible for you to actually break down, your high level again into more detailed level. So we call it level 2. So it's possible that they may say, oh, could you please map that process, map level 2 process for this process map? So what they're saying is to do like a detailed analysis, like detail mapping, of that process. So probably maybe when you were trying to put document the business requirements, for the supplier or the IT team to understand. So probably maybe you've done high-level requirements, high-level business process rather. So you've mapped the high-level business process. So, but now that they actually want to understand, they want to have or more detailed information, they need more detail of how the process works, then they may say, oh, could we have level 2 of that process? If they say level 2, so what they mean is that you should go into detail, more detail than the high level. And it's also possible to go into low detail, so which is the level 3. So you have level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3. So it's to the finest grain. So that is what they want from you. So once you actually do this context diagram, high level, low level, it's possible that means you may hear detailed business process. Some people say detailed business process, but it's still high level. Low level. Then you have the actors. When I say the actors are the functions, the roles. So those are the actors. Yes, the actors also is. Oh, you can use that in the use case as well, which I'm going to, the actors actually relates to the use case, so which I'm going to share now. So this is unified, we call this unified modeling language. You could say that it's different from the business process that we've talked about, business process modeling. So this is unified. So one of the, if you check the textbook, the BCS textbook, you have different, unified modeling language. But we are talking, I'm just going to discuss on the use case diagram. So what do you use case diagram for? Is sort of like a specification. You use that as a set of actions. You want to show the interaction of the actor. So this is the actor. This student is the actor. So you want to show the interaction of the interaction of the actor, with the system. So now, how do I actually, if you actually want to understand, how do you use this to actually model your requirements. If they say, oh, we want a system to be able to, for user to be able to register, let's say the student to be able to register, and they should be able to, pay their fees, they should be doing, any activities that the student needs to carry out. So you use this use case to model your requirements or to model the system. So it's actually then whoever that is actually building, a developer or the technical team, they'll be able to understand that these are the activities or the tasks that this person is going to carry out. So here we are showing here saying the student is interacting the system. The student will be register at class. The system will pay school fees or maybe pay fees and attend class. So we assuming that there is a system in between here. So we have, I didn't put all the like the system, which is sort of like a rectangle or maybe like a box. So then you'll be able to say these are the activities that this person is going to carry out. So, but it's just to give you an understanding of what use case diagram is anyway. So how these ones are we call it use cases, like the activities or maybe tasks that these students will be. So it's possible you could have like 2, 3, depending on the actors or the roles. So depending on the system, so you can have multiple actors here. So that is just that is on the use case. So yeah, so I'll move on to the next one. And just before I move, because I know I'm conscious of time because of what I want to do as well. So yeah, so let me just so let me go to, there are some rules that I would just quickly mention. So when you are actually doing your process modeling, so you need to make sure, probably maybe it would be good if I even go on to the next one, then that will be fine. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are just going to do sort of like, a case study, so that at least you understand just the overview what I've actually, given to explain as well. And it's possible. Some people may say if you hear anything like stick people, this is what we call stick man. They may say stick man or stick person or stick wherever. So this is stick. They call it stick. And yeah, so then this one's are use cases. Then there's this one like associated line. You can say this is associated line. So but definitely you can get more information on that. uh, so yeah, so yeah, so on this use so we are going to use the university application process. So we want to map the high level business process and also low level business process. So which means we want to map level 1 and level 2 university application process. That's the case study that we want to do tonight. So, and also probably if we still have time, which I doubt, we'll talk about the business requirements, and if not, definitely we'll go into detail. Sorry, we'll go into detail of that next week if we can do that today. But let's see how we move. So we'll just move on to the university application. So let me share my so now this is my Visio. So I will start from, okay, yeah, you can just do new page. I'm sure you can see that. So you can just say new. So when you actually, let me close this. So when you actually when you launch your Visio, so you have different, templates that you can actually see. You can see here, this is basic diagram. Because the Visio, you have so many discipline, so many, people that actually use it. Some people use it for, let's say, what will I call it? Like technical, the networking diagram, office, so many. It's not only business analysts that uses this Visio. So that's what I'm just trying to say. So you have so many people that actually, So anyway, let's move on to, so you can click on blank, but see, this is a cross-functional. So you could see the cross-functional. So assuming that you want to use Swimlane, then you just select this template. If you want to use the UML that I just showed you earlier, so this is the template, you can just click on it. Then, and if you want to actually use, UML as well, this is another UML template. This is a BPMN diagram, so which you can use, and you can also use the basic flow chart. So if it's something that has to do with just flow chart that you want to use, then you can use that. But I'm going to use the cross functional because I want to try and map my process in a Swimlane. So I click on that, and I click on the blank, and I click on my create. So now, so it's going to give me just a blank page. And here, if you notice, we have basic flowchart shapes, and we have cross functional as well. So just in case if I need more shapes, I can just click on more shapes. Then I'll go to I'm trying to add more. So here I can add BPMN basic shapes. So just in case if I need to do that, so I'll click on that. So you can see it has added more. So now, so just for you to be aware, I'm not saying this is the exact, the exact university application process, but it's just an example. So I'm just choosing it. So because I may miss some process in there. So just I'm not saying that's the exact process, but we are just using it to practice, just as a scenario. So what I want to do, I can now cross-functional. If you want to add another lane to this pool, what I will just do, I will click on this, click on my cross-functional, and you can see the swim lane. So I will just drag it and put it here. So once you just drop it, then it will align. And because I don't actually want this blue background, I mean, this is by default. Whenever you have, you open up your My MS, obviously it would, reset it to default. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to design, and I'm clicking on this theme, design. So simple one, I just want simple one. Yeah. Okay. So I've changed that. Sorry, I need to zoom. So, but what I will advise, so now I want to start mapping my process. So what I'm going to do now, I need to, what's the title? We said the title is University Application Process. So I'm going to type University Application Process. And I will advise, because if somebody picks up this, this process map that we are doing, this business process, they may not really know. If I just leave it like this, they may not really know whether it's the to be or as is. So always try as much as possible to add your maybe as is, or if it's to be, just put it in there, just add it, so that if anybody picks it up, then they will be able to know that it's to be or is as is. So just try as much as possible, because like I came across some of this process and I'm like, is this one to be, or I don't even know. So that means I have to go and ask that person to be able to explain to me whether it's the to be process or as is. So always try, so that in case if anybody picks it up, maybe when you leave the organization or when you are not around, they'll be able to understand the exact one. And so, and as much as possible, I try to remove this what's it called, this face. I try as much as possible to remove it. I don't need that face to be there. So yes, sorry, I just need to enlarge this because of my zoom it. Yeah, okay. Let me drag this as well, see if I can come on. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So now, so what I've done, so I've mapped the process, so I'm writing. So because you may have to do so many versions before it's approved. So sometimes I do put my name, and you may not even put your name, so depending. Or you can just put, let me just say, you can just put the date. Let's say today is 04/02. So because probably maybe somebody may pick it up maybe next year, or depending, and they'll be able to know when that was actually mapped. Then you put the version as well, because this is our first draft. So I'll put the version there. So then I can just move that to the side. Or I can just yeah, depending depending on how you want to format that. So but at least when you pick up this, you will be able to know this process map is being mapped on the 4th of February, is the version 1, because as you iterate that, definitely modify it, you will be updating the changes as well. So now I need to also update this, and because when you are actually doing your let me say the function, we said these are the functions. So who are the people that will be involved? We know students will be involved, so you can just say students. And who, let's say the university. Yes, at the moment, let's just keep it as those two. Let me delete this. If I need it, I will re-add it. So if you want to delete, just delete that. So that's fine. So that's been deleted. So I'm using just 2 lanes. So now I need to add my basic shapes. So I'll click on my basic. So what we are doing is just, I'm not using BPMN at the moment, but I can show you later. So when you hover, you see it says start. So definitely you will not be able to make mistake. By the time you over it, you see start, you see process. Yeah. So let's say because we want to start. So whenever you are starting your process, definitely you need to have a start. It has to start somewhere, So definitely, so your swim lane must have a start and a end. So, but because we don't know where it's going to end, so I'm not going to put any end shape, but at least we start with that. And sometimes some people do actually, type into the start, but I try as much as possible to, keep it clean. Yeah, I will leave it as that. And because no, so the student is actually kicking off, the process. So what does this? So we are saying the students apply, for a course or a placement at the university website. So what? Because that's a tax. So that means this. So the tax. So this shape is actually like action word. Is a verb. So whenever you are typing, so I'm just going to drag this here. So then I can just, once you just do this, click on it, it links that. So what I'm saying here is that these students actually carry out a particular task. So what's the task? So we are saying the students apply for a course at the university website. So because we are doing high level, so but when you are typing, always make sure when you are using your, this rectangle box, which we call tasks or or activities, you start with a verb. A verb. It's because it's an action. So which the action is to start with a verb. A verb is an action word, like we all know. So now I will say apply uh, for a course. Apply for course, or I can even say apply for course. Apply for course. Apply for course at university websites. Yeah. So now at least you can see that let me zoom it just in case. Yeah. So at least we can see that you're applying. So the students apply. So apply, you can see that it starts with a verb. Apply for a course. So because another person may say, oh, um, another word, but anytime if I'm checking somebody's work, your process map, I will make sure I look into that, to see whether you are actually starting that task with a verb, because with that I will know that, oh, this person is not actually does not really follow the rules. Anyway, so let's go on. So now if the students actually apply for a course, what happened? So that means because we are doing high level, so once you over on this rectangle box, you can see that once I click on it, so here is either I have the shape here, or I had the shape up here, or I had the shape up here. But it's just practice makes perfect. By the time you start practicing on your desktop or your computer, definitely you know that it's very simple. It's something that you can learn within 1 hour. You can learn it within 1 hour, I'm telling you. So now, because I actually want to say the students has already applied, so that means the next task actually go to to the university. So that means I'm saying the university, the students apply for a course at the let's say university, and now the university will process. Remember we are doing high level, so process application. So process application. So that's the task that the university has carried out. So what happened after the university processed the application? So then, because once they process it, they want to feedback. The university wants to feedback to the to the students. So that means they still carry out another task. So which I would say feedback. And remember, another thing I need to let you know that in each of these box, it has to be just one task. that you need to put here, because it's possible for some another, maybe, you may think, oh, process and feedback to the process, application and feedback, just to put everything in one box. No. So process has to be in a even if it has to do with review and process, or review and shortlist. So I cannot put review and shortlist in this box. I have to do review, application, then another box, shortlist. So you have to separate the task. So each task should be in each box. So each step will be for each box. So that's what I'm saying here. I'll say feedback to students. Feedback. I can just say feedback on application. I can just say feedback on application. But how will you know who exactly am I feeding back to? So because I'm going to put this here, I'm going to add another box here. The arrow is going to go to, even if I don't want to start doing all this, what's it called? To not waste my time. So I can easily just add it here. Yeah, I can just add it there. Then now, once I click on that, then I can just say, I don't know why this. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Don't worry. So to make it easier for me, so yeah, so so you can select that. Then I can just bring it up here. Yeah, that's fine. So here, so you can see that the feedback is actually going to the students. So assuming that we have another function here that we want to feed back to, then it will just point down. But because I'm actually feeding back, so once you see this, you can see that the feedback is actually going back to the student. So we can say, okay, the student university, then this person, student receives feedback. You can see receives is actually, verb. It starts with verb. So, and now, because the student does not even know whether they've passed or not, or successful, so you could see here that you have an option. So instead of you dragging maybe box here, so this thing may give you 4 options, so I can easily select here. But what happens is that the student will be able to see whether it's a decision box. So this is what we call decision box. So here, I want to say, the student is asking, am I successful or not? So I will just say, so this is like a question box, a decision. We call it decision box, but I will say successful. So that means, so whenever you actually use this decision box, is either yes or no. So if you map anything for me and you have just one. So now let's say the person is successful. I will say yes. So you can type on that line. You can see here, yes. I will expect, whenever I'm reviewing any process, whenever I see the decision box, I always look for the yes and no first before I even look at what is in the box. Because most times, a lot of people do forget, to add the other parts. So now let's assume this person is not successful. So that means we have another box here. So if the person is not successful, that means, let's say, then you need to write it here saying no. So that means successful, no, then it ends. You can even put it here, bring it on top here, because it's actually ends here. So I can move the box because it does not have to notify. So if this person does not need to notify the school, so there's no point. So I would just put it here, so, and say no. So then how do you differentiate? Because another thing is that how do you differentiate whether this is end, or you can write either end here, you can write it end in the box, and I can put maybe start here. So that at least anybody that is reviewing will know that this is my start, this is my end. And you could also paint this green means start, and red. So you may see some maps that they will put green and red. So red means end. So it's possible you can just fill that box with red. So now let's assume that this person is successful, yes, and we have no. So if the person is successful, so that means the person will say probably maybe accept the offer. Let's say accept offer, then accept offer. Then after accepting the offer, what happens? Then probably maybe send document to the school, send document to school, to university. Let's say send document because we are doing high level. Then here we can say receives documents. Let's say receives document. I'm just trying to be fast because of time. Receives documents. Yeah. So then, or probably we can just say after accepting the offer, the person just register for course and that's it. So then now receives documents, and let's say that is the end. That is high level. You could see now that we are not actually, so it's possible you have two ends, which is end, yeah. So now this is my high level. This is high level 1, high level assess. So let's say we want to do high level to B as well. So now this is high level 1. So we say the student starts by applying for course at university. Then the university receives the application and process it. The feedback on the application. This person, the student, received feedback. Is the student successful? Yes. Yes. And the person accepts the offer. Send requirement or required documents. They receive the document and that ends it. And because the person is not successful, the person just end the process in there. So now I want to do to be. So because I actually want to be, try to, I will see if I can quickly do that. So let's say we want to do to be. Let me add a new page. You can add new page. So by this. So what I'm going to do, I'm quickly going to do that here. So you can drag that. Once you drag that. But because the to be is a new process, remember the to be is a new process. You see that what I'm going to do will be different from the way I've mapped that one. So now I'm going to say, so because in the business, in your, when you are submitting your process map, probably maybe if it's to the external supplier or whoever is going to be, you need to actually indicate that whether it's high level or low level. So let's say this is university application. So then to be, then I put the date as well. So let's say the date is so which is 0402 and 20 version 0.1. Let's say I'm just trying to do rough stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here I'm going to have students, and I'm going to have UCAS. So you can see that we're actually adding a new function here, and I'm going to have university. So because previously the university were not engaging with the UCAS, so UCAS was not involved, but now we want to include UCAS in this process because probably maybe they've realized that they need to involve UCAS, or they want UCAS to actually assist them in this application processing or the process of the application. So then we now want to, re-engineer the process. So yeah, so we are going to start again and say basic process, so which we are starting with the students. So we are saying the students, which is the start. So so because by the time you get familiarized with this, it's something that you can actually map. You can create a process map in minutes. Once you have like a sketch somewhere, that you can just, even you can pencil it down, then you just start mapping it. So here we'll say, see students apply, apply for apply on, let me say, apply for course on UCAS website. Yeah. So then what happened after then? Then the UCAS receives the application, they process the application. They process the application, and what do they do? UCAS also send shortlisted applicants. So UCAS is sending shortlisted applicants, send shortlisted applicants to university. So then after what happened? So they receives the response. University receives response. Let's say the university receives response, or the list receives the list from receives the list. Yeah, because we know where they are receiving it from, so we don't need to actually say from UCAS or wherever. So you can just delete that, but I'm just, because of time, I'm just trying. So then what happened again? So probably, maybe the university, they make some decision and they just want to send response to UCAS, send response to UCAS. And then, just because of time, so you can continue like that and say accept, or maybe the student is successful or not successful, and then maybe they will have to carry out some background check. So let me just quickly do that because of time. Because I want to show you the high level, I mean the low level. So now, so maybe they send response to UCAS. So then they would determine, is the student successful? So they would determine that whether the student is successful from, then if it's yes, let's say if it's yes, okay, let's bring this here. So if it's yes, so this person receives, the student will receive offer letter or acceptance letter. Yeah. So if it's no, so if it's no, what is it that we're going to do? At least they still need to notify if it's no. Let's say if it's no. So send, we can say send rejection later. I'm not typing it. So send rejection. Why is it not typing in? Sorry. Send rejection later. Yeah. So once they send rejection letter, this person receives it as well. Yeah, receives the letter. Or we can even say receive offer letter or rejection letter. We can marry that up here, saying instead of having these two, we can just say yeah, let me just say receive, let's say receives later. Then, so after receiving the letter, what happened? Then that ends it. And one thing you need to always remember is that if you notice, this is not actually linking to any box. The only time you should have a box that is not linking to any box is when it, or is not linking to any of the boxes, is when it actually ends. So here, what I need to do, because I received the letter, so because it's not like the start or the end shape, so what I need to do, I need to make sure I can draw the arrow here. The pointer here, I can just say connector. So I can just draw to make sure I end this process here. So if you see, so I've actually, so what I'm just doing to make sure, it actually ends as well. So you should make sure, all your boxes, there's something going into each of those boxes and coming out. If you see here, it goes in, come out, goes in, something comes in, it goes out, something comes in here, out, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. So the only one is just the start and the end that will not have in or out. So you need to always make sure all your boxes are joined up. So this is the eye level. So assume, so if you look at this, we can see this is, because of time, I'm not actually going to, go into detail of the axes. Let's say, let me say the level 2. I'll just quickly do level 2 of this axis. Level 2 of the axis. Sometimes they may just say, okay, just do to be, but at least it's good to, they may need to understand the detail of how it's being done. If you notice this, if you count it, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So if you note, watch out and see what I'm going to, how many boxes this our low level is going to be. So low level now of the axis. So the level, so we are still doing, so now still the same. I can just copy from this one, copy, and yeah, so I'm going to remove, so you can copy some things depending on, because of time I'm just trying to, so yeah, we are going to have, if you look at this, the axis here, the high level, we have students and university. So definitely for my low level, it's still going to be the same. So it's students, and here, university. So university. So even probably maybe for you to understand what I'm going to do, if you look at this, you can see we say apply for course and also process application. So yeah, so what I'm now saying here is basic flow. So I'm saying here, I'm starting, yeah, that's my start. Start. I hope I get that. Yeah, so now my next shape is this. So now for the detail, for the low level, so here we say, I said apply for course at university, but because I'm not doing detail, so because they may need to understand, you said this person applied for course at the university. How did the person apply? Is it did they have to fill a hard copy form? Do they have to go onto the website and download it? Do they have to send an email? So because because when you are, that's because as a BA, you want to understand, you need to understand how that activity is being done. Because if somebody tell you, oh, what we do is that they just apply for the course at the university, then university process, then I will ask, how do they apply for course? If I want to apply for course, how will I do it? Is he applying by email, or do they have to download a form, or do they have to come? Do you have to post, application form to them? So that is where the detail, the low level comes in, because we need to understand, what you are doing at the moment. So probably, maybe to be is that they don't even want to be, they just want everything to be done online, without posting any form to the user. So that's why you have to go into detail to understand, the detailed activities. So now, so what I'm saying is that, so I would say they browse, so they have to browse to the desired, let's say desired university websites. So they browse, and what happened? So they have to download. So you can see I'm still on one box now of the previous one of the high level. So I will say download, download entry application form. Yep. So now they've downloaded. Remember, it's only one activity that you can do in one box. So now I'm saying, so complete. So the students now complete application form. You can see. So I can as well say complete and send, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that. Then I'm going to now say, let's say, post application, or so the students I say submit application. Let's say submit application, or send. Let's say send. Yeah, send application. Yeah. So if you look here, so this one box here has actually been expanded to 4. So that is what we mean by low level. So you can see browse, download, they complete the application form, and they send the application form. So the application form, so it could be that it's being posted. So because some people, and if you actually want to indicate that, you can say send application form. You can just put a comment in here. There's a way you add annotation. Well, let me just try and see if I can see that. So here you can use this, you can use any of these to add the information. So something like this, or here you can just add that. So I'll just try and see. I want to drag this. Come on. Let me just try. I don't know why this is. So anyway, so this is my annotation. So what I'm just trying to, so I will just link into this box. So I just want to add, so you can use this to add more information. So now what I want to add is to say post or email. Yeah. So what I'm telling whoever is reading it is that the application could be posted and it could be emailed to the university. So that is, so it's different. You can see the difference between this one box that is still the same application, and it has now broken down to 4 boxes. So let's see now. Excuse me. And now the university receives the application. So we can see now, so we go here. So this person now have posted it, they receive the application. So whether by post or email, they receive the application, So now they receive the application. What do? They review the application, and now they need to decide, does this person actually meet the criteria? So then here you can see now I'm breaking it down, saying, does this person actually meet the criteria? I can say meet criteria because it's a question. Criteria, question mark, always have your question mark. So if it's yes, so let's say if this yes, yeah. If it's no, so what? No. So let's say no. So no. So what happened if it's no? What happened is if it's no, so receives rejection letter. Let's say receives rejection letter. So if it's yes, so yes, what happened? Then they actually probably maybe send send offer letter. Uh, let's say post or post offer letter. Let's say post offer letter. So once they post it, so now you can see now that we are saying is actually post. Before in the previous one we did not mention whether whether it's being posted or email. We see offer letter. So you can go on and on and on like that. So the essence of what I'm trying to say here is that this one box you can expand it to as many activities that is actually involved. And this one, because what I've just done is just only two, definitely just two boxes, process the application. So which is something that they process the application here, because this is how they process the application, before we now move on to, this, whether the person is successful, acceptance. So we can go on and on like that. So like all these boxes that we have here, let's say about eight, let's say eight. By the time you do the low level, it could be 16, 20. So that's just how it works. You just need to make sure whoever that is reading it will be able to understand, because sometimes some of these some of the maybe supplier or maybe the stakeholder, they don't even want to go through all the documentation that you've done. Because if anybody picks up your business process, they should be able to understand, or your supplier, they should understand how it works at the moment without reading all the text or the document that you put together. At least this should give them that high level information that this is a process of university application, and this is what they are trying to do. So it should give you like a story. So that is why you need to, when it's like the detail, it has to be detailed. If it's high level, they know that when it's high level, it's just that submit application, process it, and this is it, and these are the people involved. And when it comes to low level, they need to know all the activities, the task that is being involved, the process, how the process works. They need to understand. So you just need to, understand that. And because of time, I'm not really going into detail. To complete this. So you can go on, because we've not completed it. So you can go on and on like that till we finish. We expand this particular one into low level 2. So you can expand that. So that is low level requirement. And all you just need to do, all this like this, is a process. It's possible that probably within this process there's another process, a separate process that you want to link into this. Probably, let's say when there is let's say offer letter, so probably maybe there's a process of registration. We can just say from here, so maybe this person will start registering. This person will start registration. We can just say registration. I can just link that to let me just get back to here. Okay, I can just link this to this one. Let me just remove that. So yeah, this is it. So you can just link this. So what I'm saying here is so anytime you see this, you know that is another process on its own. But what I'm saying here is that because I don't want to fill in all the boxes for registration, because the registration could be another separate separate box in a separate process like the high level one. But because I don't want to add all those steps in there, and what I'm saying is that, once this person receives offer letter, the person has to go through registration process. So this particular one may represent about 8 or 10 boxes. So, but it's just a way to say this person will now follow through registration process. So this is then you can say end. So, and that ends your process. So that's another way. So for the sub process, you can use your sub process like that. And so I can see do fancy wherever. So I can say okay, fill, yeah. So to say, yeah. So I can, so at least whenever you see that, you know that that actually ends the process. Yeah, feel, I can say green. Yeah, so then you can make it colorful. Some people will do that, but it depends. So these are all the shapes you can use. So there are some that is just for data store. When you are talking about database, you have to use, like this one is for documents. So if you say probably maybe somebody completes a document, you can use this sign for a document, and several shapes like that. You just need to get yourself familiarized with that. And I think because of time, we'll just stop there today. At least because next time I'm not going to go into detail of the mapping the process, but it's a key thing that you need to actually know. You need to learn this. And the BPMN, so we did not use any BPMN here. So the BPMN is a different one, BPMN shapes. So you can see for the BPMN, so let me just click this one. So for the BPMN, like now, you could see this is start for the BPMN. I may put start, so it's different from the oval shape of the cross-functional. So the end is this one, so which is different from the oval as well. So you have different shapes for the BPMN, but you just need to get yourself familiarized with that. Then you'll be able to know how to use it. It's still the same for the gateway decision. So then the process as well. So it's the same with these ones. They are the same. So but there are some that are different. And like envelope, when you see sort of like seeing like envelope, it means message or email. So there are different shapes with the BPMN, but you just need to get yourself familiarized with that. So let me just quickly go through the questions. Sorry, I'm just going through the questions. Yes, the lucid chart is also good as well. Yes, it's also good as well. Sorry, is it okay? Chart. Okay. You can. Okay. I was supposed everything went. Okay. It is allowed to duplicate. Is it allowed to duplicate the boxes whichever is quicker? Yes, whichever is quicker. Yes, you can. Yeah. But you just need to be conscious so that you don't make any mistake or repeating something else. Won't the direction of arrows indicate where the start and end of the process? Yes, the end of the process is if you check what we've just done is different. Yeah, sorry. So the start, so this is the start is actually going, yeah. Then the end, it has nothing that is coming out of it, so it is different. So you can also shade that because it ends, that means it ends there. So nothing is going out and nothing is coming into it as well. But start actually indicates, where it's starting from. So you could see the difference there. Let me just quickly go to the last one. The last one. I'm just going through, sorry, the messages so that we can quickly cover that. I guess okay. Mandatory to have both high level and low level flowchart. Yes, because definitely you need the low level because the supplier, they will not understand how the process is being done without you explaining to them, and it's possible that you cannot even speak to them face to face because is the documents actually binding. So even if it's for to be processed, you need to document it. You need to document the low level because the low level is more important than the high level. But sometimes some people just want to see the high level first before you now document. But it is mandatory that you have the low level. It is mandatory that you have the low level because if not, if you just do the high level, they may not really know how the email how they will post the application, the detailed activities in there, they may not really know. So it's mandatory that I would say you have low level. You may not have it in a separate document, but I would say it's mandatory. Yeah. Assist and to be. So it just depends, but definitely I documents my assist high level or to be. You can do the low level just straight away without even doing the high level assist, but the low level is important. But because the supplier needs to know what you are doing now and how you want it to work. And how do you know which of the process man to use? Yes, so it comes with experience. So the process man, when you know that you are having mapping a process that actually involves more than one department or one team or one person, then you will know that you need to use cross-functional, the swim lane. For example, if you want to actually map a process between marketing and sales and finance, is swim lane. If you want to map a process, between head of finance and the accountant, it could even be between, within the finance team, but you just different roles. You still need to use swim lane. But if it's just one person that is actually carrying out the activities, then you just use flowcharts. So, but it's rare these days before you actually use that. But use case, definitely, if it's something that has to do with system interaction or, or your requirements, modeling the requirements, then you have to use case diagram. So, but it just comes with experience anyway. So, but you get used to it. And now does one understand a process is not being missed out? Do we confirm with the user or say, yes, once you map your process, you have to walk the stakeholder through to say, this is what like a playback saying, this is what you've actually, definitely if you send it to them, they may not understand all those signs, but you can just set up maybe like 30 minutes or 1 hour just to walk through. If it's a big process, maybe 1 hour, and if it's a short one, or you can just say 30 minutes, it's just to say, oh, I want to play back the process, the has-sees and the to-be that you've discussed with me that I've gathered so far from you, just to validate this is the current process and this is your to-be. So you now explain, because like the decision box, the gateway, some of them, they don't understand. They may be like, okay, and even while validating that, they may, because this is part of your requirements. It forms part of your business requirement documents. So you just need to make sure you validate it before you can say, okay, yes, sign up, because they will be the ones to sign up your to-be process, that this is how we want the process to work. They need to sign it up. So regardless, you can't really do it without them. So they have to sign up your process and your requirement documents. So you have to put everything together. Okay, we've done that one. Supplier, do you mean the stakeholder? So, there are some projects that actually you have to, that is the external supplier that will want to probably maybe deliver that system or service for you. So it's not all the solution that you get in-house. So probably maybe you want to get a new, let's say, learning management system or a new HR system. Definitely your in-house developer or IT, they may not be, I don't think they will not be doing that. So you need somebody outside, maybe one global something, organization. You need a different organization that is not within your company that will actually produce that for you, like all these solutions you buy it, off the shelf. Then they have to come to your organization and customize it for you or deliver that service. So that is when we say supplier. So external. So they are external to you. If it's Business Central or maybe it's a CRM solution, definitely you get a supplier to do it, because there's no way your developer will be doing that for you within the organization. So that's where the supplier comes in. So, but if it's something that has to do with maybe you have developers inside within the organization and they build some, they do some codings, just for your apps or something, then you can say developer. So they are different, and the stakeholder, your business stakeholder, the team as well, the project team. So some of them may be the project stakeholders as well. So supplier is different from the stakeholder. So they are one of the stakeholders as well, but supply is different from the developer as well, because the developer may be external. It could be supply from the supplier side. It could be from your internal side. So that is then do you had payments process in the swim lane? Yes, it depends on the process. Once if the payment is something that because if you're talking about the payments, it depends on the process of how the payment works. If they are going to pay, or if somebody is going to pay for a particular good or service, and you want to, it's part of a process that you are mapping. You have to show it in there saying, oh, these students make a payment for the tuition fees. Then probably maybe the cashier or the registrar office confirm the receipt and the send invoice. So if that is it, then you have to reflect that in the swim lane. So it depends on what you actually trying to do, what the process is all about. So regardless, it is part of the process, you have to include that. Yeah. So, and if there's no other question, I think that's all for tonight. Yeah, so next week we'll be talking about the business requirement, because that is one of the key artifacts of the of a BA. So we'll be talking about business requirements, how you can document your business requirements, the functional and non-functional requirements, and also if we can have time, we'll look into the user stories and your acceptance criteria as well, which I doubt next week, but at least we'll try and do that next week. And just I know some people have left, but in March is possible. I think there is probability that we'll be having a workshop for the BAs if you are interested. So you may need to come along to Crayford that we have I think graduation last 2 weeks ago. So the workshop is just to what we'll be doing to have face-to-face, any question that you have, interviewing tips as well. And also I'll be, probably maybe for those that will be interested to attend, so you may have to divide people into different teams. So may ask you to work on a project, and I will give you information on the project before that day. And so the workshop is for you to actually, let's say, carry out how you are going to, I want to see how you are going to gather your requirements, all the things that you've learned so far, that you're going to learn during the course. I know we've done 4 now. So you are going to learn during the course, how you can, I want to see that exhibit, how you are actually practicalizing everything, how you are doing it, if you are gathering your requirements, if you are asking your, the right questions, and if you are documenting, mapping the process properly, and if you actually document your requirements properly, and if you're writing your user stories properly as well. So I'll be assessing you based on that. So, but because it's going to be like a whole day affair, so probably maybe 4 to 6 hours, let's say. So depending on the interest, or maybe, and oh yes, so depending on the number, so it's probably, we may start something like maybe 11 to 4 or 11 to 5. So because we are going to go through all these processes, interviewing, workshop, documenting right there, you'll be documenting your requirements, you'll be mapping your process, you'll be facilitating workshop. It's just a way to actually carry out and show what you've actually, or demo, what you've actually learned. Then I can correct or maybe advise on any gaps I could see, maybe that I'm going to see and say, okay, maybe you need to work on this. So, but definitely it's going to be, in a team. So maybe it's going to be about 3 groups, or yeah, so maybe 3 teams. Then I'll give you different projects to work on that day, which you have to collaborate together before that day, because on the day you may not actually have time to document all the requirements, or to put all the process map together. And it could be probably maybe on that day the stakeholder, you see the stakeholder as well. You meet the stakeholders, you gather your requirements, but it's something that I will make sure I let you know, inform you on the project you'll be working on, and you can research on that, because like one of the things I mentioned few days ago, the first session, is that it's possible that the stakeholder may not even have or maybe an idea of what they want, but by you researching, you may be able to understand or maybe advise the stakeholder, saying, do you want payment system? Do you want the user to be able to create an account? Then that will actually aid the requirement gathering as well. So depending on the interest, then end of the month or first week in March, we'll be able to collate the numbers together, and probably maybe then, yeah, or maybe before the end of February. Anyway, let's say before the end of February, we'll collect the numbers, and I'll be able to group into groups or teams, project teams, and then we'll be able to take it from there. But definitely, this training is going to end the end of the month, or I think 15th, or I can't really remember the dates. Well, at least it's going to end this month. Then the workshop could be either second or third week in March, second Saturday or third Saturday in March. So yeah, just have it in mind if you're interested. Workshop so second or third Saturdays in March, and yeah, maybe for 5 or 6 hours. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.